Welcome back and prepare to be bedazzled because today I'm going to be shedding light on the top 15 reasons why I will not work a full-time employed job again. So why am I going to desist, abstain, and refrain from working a full-time employed job in the pending future? Without further ado, without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to demystify the answer to that inquiry right here, right now. Lamentably, much to my dismay, much to my consternation, much to my chagrin, much to my grief, much to my agony, much to my agitation, much to my irritation, most real private sector employed jobs based on voluntary demand are often deemed to be dead and highly time depleting, debilitating, minimum wage, dispiriting, unfulfilling, undesirable, harrowing, distressful, brutally wretched, ineffably agonizing jobs that not only drain almost all of an employee's sacrosanct time, but that also do not pay him anywhere close to even 1/4 of a subsistence wage for affording housing. So this segues into my first point, which is that most real private sector employed jobs based on voluntary demand are devoid of redeeming qualities. There are no redeeming qualities appertaining to working most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand. They have zero positive facets. There's nothing beneficent appertaining to working most real private sector employed jobs based on voluntary demand. The second reason is that there's a probability that you may not get paid. An employer may renege on his payroll obligations to you, and he may have the employee attendance system configured so that your biometric clock-in is nullified if you're negligibly tardy. Seeking relief in court to recover your unpaid wages that an employer owes you is often not a viable option because the cost to retain an attorney will more than likely preponderantly outweigh the unpaid wages that you could recover if you were to seek relief in court to potentially recover your unpaid wages that an employer owes you but refuses to pay you. And of course, the third reason is that if working a real private sector employed job based on voluntary demand is your only source of income, it could perpetually keep you impoverished. You should work in capacities that could at least provide you with some semblance of a chance to attain financial stability and financial security. The only way to have a chance to attain financial stability and financial security, if you're not furnished with a luxury job, is to build up sizable recurring revenue streams on autopilot that are steep enough to offset your recurring expenses. The only way to get out of poverty, once again, is to build up enormous recurring revenue streams on autopilot that are able to offset your recurring expenses. You do not want to be destitute, nor indigent, nor penurious. So, reason number 4 is that if you work most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand, then there's a high probability that you'll be micromanaged. And it is needless for a manager to hound his employees about the minutiae. Doing so can cause his employees to succumb to acute stress, and it could exacerbate the experience of working the real private sector employee job based on voluntary demand, and of course it can amplify the company's employee attrition rate. People detest and disdain being micromanaged. We are human beings, we are not androids. We are not an artificial intelligence, so we're fettered in terms of how much we can accomplish in a single hour. We're not tantamount to androids. Or I should say that we are not tantamount to artificial intelligence-powered androids. And of course, reason number 5 is that if working a real private sector job based on voluntary demand is your only source of emolument, then it will provide you with a 0% chance to attain financial stability. And of course, reason number 6 is akin to reason number 5, which is that if working a real private sector job based on voluntary demand is your only source of revenue, then it will provide you with a 0% chance to attain financial security. And reason number 7 is that working most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand will provide you with 0 benefits. Most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand are devoid of benefits. And reason number 8 is that working most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand will not furnish you with a pension. And of course, reason number 9 is that working most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand will at most furnish you with a minimum wage. The profits trickle up. There are a copious amount of chief executive officers who earn over 165 million annually as their compensation. There are an exorbitant amount of chief executive officers who are earning over $79,326.92 per hour. Are they 793,169% more productive than their assistant managers? No. However, just bear in mind and allow this to marinate in the chasms of your mind that the profits that companies generate trickle up to the executives and to the shareholders. And reason number 10 is that most real private sector employed jobs based on voluntary demand have eminently brutal working conditions that render you at a high probability of getting maimed. You never want to succumb to getting maimed. Nothing beneficent nor salubrious can ever ensue from getting maimed. So it is eminently problematic that most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand have hazardous, perilous, deleterious, and inimical working conditions. It renders it arduous to sustain working a single shift at most real private sector employed jobs based on voluntary demand. And of course, reason number 11 is that if you work a real private sector job based on voluntary demand, you render yourself at a higher probability to contract plantar fasciitis. And of course, reason number 12 is that if you work most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand, you render yourself at a higher probability to contract rotator cuff tears. And of course, reason number 13 is that if you work most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand, you render yourself at a higher probability to contract tendinitis. And of course, reason number 14 is that if you work most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand, you render yourself at a higher probability to contract varicose veins. It is an eminently inflammatory experience to work most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand. They may require you to incessantly lift 25 to 75 pound objects, and the repetitive stress motions coupled with ceaseless labor that you're performing is going to render you at a higher probability to become maimed. And reason number 15 is that if you work a real private sector job based on voluntary demand in the manufacturing industry or even in the warehousing industry, you're going to render yourself at a higher probability to contract floaters. There are forklifts or high-lows that are traversing through the warehouse, and they have these luminous strobe lights that wind up profusely gleaming in your eyes. They could permanently damage your eyes, and they can induce floaters. So there are 0 positive aspects appertaining to working most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand. And to recapitulate, it is not conducive to allowing you to attain financial stability, nor conducive to allowing you to attain financial security, and you're rendering yourself highly susceptible to getting maimed if you work most real private sector jobs based on voluntary demand, especially if you work in the manufacturing industry or warehousing industry, which are the utmost worst industries to work in. Those industries have ineffably brutal working conditions, and they require incessant heavy lifting. And you may also be expected to keep up with a conveyor belt, which is delusional and unrealistic. You